There is an island in Panama where albino children aren't hidden. They're handed a bow and arrow. Every culture on Earth has had to answer the same strange question. What do you do when a baby is born who looks like no one else in the village? Pale skin, white hair, eyes that can't quite focus in daylight. Most people assume the answer is dark, fear, superstition, maybe worse. But one of the best documented answers in anthropology is almost the exact opposite of what you would expect. And it's about to change how you think about difference itself. We usually assume that ancient traditional societies simply feared what they couldn't explain. Now, when it came to albinism, that genetic quirk where the body lacks the melanin needed to colour skin, hair and eyes, that fear was tragically real. Even today in parts of East Africa, people with albinism are hunted for their body parts under the horrific belief that they bring luck. This isn't ancient history, it's happening right now. Naturally, when we couple ancient humans with albinism, our brains jump straight to the worst-case scenario: outcasts, bad omens, or infanticide. That skepticism is valid, backed by grim, documented history, which is why the reality on a small island chain off Panama's coast is so striking. There, a community with one of the highest albinism rates on Earth didn't just accept the condition, they actually rewrote their entire mythology to protect it. The Guna people, sometimes spelled Kuna, call the San Blas Islands off Panama's Caribbean coast home. Medical researchers visiting the community uncovered an albinism rate of roughly 1 in every 145 births. To put that in perspective, the global average sits somewhere between 1 in 17,000 and 20,000. That is a massive spike, marking one of the highest concentrations of albinism ever documented. Because of this, the Guna encountered these unique-looking babies far more often than almost any other culture on Earth. Yet instead of letting fear shape their mythology, they chose reverence. In Guna tradition, individuals with albinism are called Saipus, meaning white, but they are beautifully known as the children of the moon. According to local belief, these children carry a sacred responsibility. During a lunar eclipse, when a mythical dragon attempts to swallow the moon, the Saipus are the only ones permitted outside. Armed with small bows and arrows, they shoot into the night sky to drive the beast away and rescue the moon. This wasn't some fringe folklore passed down by a few households. It was woven directly into the community's origin stories, their view of the universe and their literal survival. A baby born with albinism wasn't a mistake to be hidden away. She was born with a calling. Now, this is where our initial assumptions really fall apart. This reverence wasn't just symbolic folklore, it dictated actual social standing. Early accounts show Guna individuals with albinism frequently stepping into highly respected roles as healers and spiritual guides, trusted with community leadership rather than banished to the fringes. But there is a darker twist within this story. That high status wasn't set in stone, nor was it guaranteed forever. Records show a painful shift, particularly in the early 1900s, when outside contact and colonial influences injected the toxic idea that albinism was a curse or a sign of sorcery. Tragically, the infanticide of these babies spiked during that era. Then came a remarkable turning point. A prominent Guna chief named Nele Kantule stepped in, issuing a powerful decree that ordered families to protect and cherish their albino infants, reaffirming their sacred connection to God and their spiritual value to the tribe. Following his decree, the population of Guna children born with albinism rebounded. Consider the weight of that shift. This ancient reverence wasn't an untouchable permanent relic of the past. It was a fragile belief system that could be warped into fear by external pressures, and then steered back toward compassion by the choice of a single leader. In the end, the sacred narrative and the deadly one were both just interpretations, fighting for the life of the very same baby. This isn't really a story about one island. It's a story about how humans decide what different means. We like to think our reactions to difference are instinctive, hardwired, unchangeable, just human nature. But the Guna story shows something more uncomfortable. The meaning we assign to difference is often decided for us by whoever tells the story first. A leader, a rumour, a colonizer, a myth passed down at bedtime. Most of us have felt this on a much smaller scale. Maybe you were the one kid in class who looked different, or talked different, or believed something different, and you know how much that treatment depended on which adult, which classroom, which year you landed in. Same difference, wildly different outcomes, depending entirely on the story the people around you already believed. The Guna didn't decide albinism was sacred because it was obviously true. They decided it, and then, generations later, they had to fight to keep believing it. So what did ancient humans do when an albino was born? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on which humans you're asking. In some places, fear won, and the story was written in violence. But among the Guna people of Panama, a different story took hold, one where an albino birth wasn't a curse to survive, but a calling, a child born to guard the moon itself. That single fact quietly dismantles the assumption we started with. There was never one universal, ancient human reaction to difference. There were only stories, and the ones that survived tended to be the ones that served whoever was telling them. Which raises a much stranger question. If something as basic as skin colour could be rewritten from curse to sacred duty, depending entirely on which story got told first, what other differences are we still getting wrong right now simply because we inherited the wrong story? If you want to discover more hidden histories and stories that challenge how we see the world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What did you think of the Guna people's incredible story? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.